Okay, the truth is that I think I'm more Gracie, but well, sorta. You're definitely smarter than I am.
I'm not.
Well, in terms
Hi,
of
welcome.
Hi. Oh yes, hello everybody. This is Pi. People, Influences, and Experiences.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome. Hi, honey.
We're just debating. I keep using this reference of our little Burns and Allen intro, and Katey keeps questioning which one's Gracie and which one's George, and I think we switch back and forth.
Well, I have a big button about. I'm just going to stereotype. I mean, it was kind of known that Gracie was a little bit of the ditzier, not so bright as George, and that's a button for me because as a kid, I was never smart enough, according to my dad.
But also, Gracie was not dumb in real life.
That's right. That's true.
Gracie was sharp as,
Is that true, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know enough of it. I just
thought it was all shtick.
I believe shtick.
Yeah. But I don't think you're Gracie as much as I think I'm goofier sometimes than you.
You're pretty goofy. But you are very heady in that you just know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of useless stuff.
Maybe, but facts and figures. I think I'm emotionally maybe a little bit smarter.
Not a little bit. You're a lot emotionally smarter than I am.
Maybe that's true. But
that's why we get along, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yin and yang?
Yeah. A little,
balance. That's nice to hear.
How are you, Kate?
I'm good, sweetheart. Yeah. I love you, and I'm good.
No, we're good. We're good. We're just talking and I think maybe we even mentioned this on the last pod that we feel like we are kind of in not a renaissance, but a bit of a we're just hitting our stride because we're doing we love what we do and we're continuing to do what we do. But we're doing a lot of interesting, different stuff, and this podcast obviously is part of that. But I feel I don't know. I get excited about
about life.
What's next, man?
Well, it's interesting because we started doing some different things as we were both unemployed.
Yeah, that's true.
Both we were like, well,
yeah.
What should we do? And it's actually opened a lot of doors of rather than being afraid of all that, which is usually the MO, I think we just decided to become a little more proactive and actually follow things that we really wanted to do, like that didn't necessarily make money, which
we're often
end game.
We're often very.
I mean, we will let everybody know, but we do have a few side projects that are very exciting.
Yeah,
that other than just the podcast. Things we'd never done before.
No, it's all good. It's all, and it's not even about a means to an end as much as how cool this is. So much fun. What do we, and what is we try to look for some service component within all of that because that helps us get out of our self-absorbed bubble.
Because we're also that. Anyway, let's...
I have to tell you, I was nervous about our guest today.
You were?
Yeah, because that's a world that you orbit in, his specialty. And I was just afraid that all my dead relatives hate me. So, but he's a very, very, so far, a lovely man. And Mr. John Edwards is with us today.
And we're so excited.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. This is really cool and slightly weird because I had a workshop that was planned last year that I didn't do that was called Pi.
Really?
Yes.
What was
Psychic Intuition and Energetic Evolvement.
Wow. Let's change our name.
Wow, that's a way better.
I added an E in my Pi, but because I needed it, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was kind of busy. And I was never able to kind of like plan it into my schedule.
Wow.
I was just looking for a way to work in the
food. Yeah, we like a food component.
Have a slice of pie.
So
it's also a reference. It's a son's reference to. There was an episode towards the end of the show where Juice had made his amends and come up and knew what his fate was, and he was in prison and he knew he was going to get offed, and he just has this thing where just let me sit here, just let me eat my pie. And there's just a scene where it's a long scene where he's just eating his pie because he knows what's next. So that was sort of the wink, wink to that mythology.
Right.
But we also love pie.
We do love pie. So, John, like we were telling you when you showed up with your beautiful daughter, by the way, that we don't do a lot of research. I mean, you're a public figure, so we know you from all that. But what we like to do is talk a little bit more origin stories. So I think let's just start with like where you're from and how did you come up and all that.
I was born and raised in New York. That's where I'm from. Originally from Queens, and then moved out to Long Island. My dad was a New York City police officer, and a career military guy. My mom was a secretary, and then she moved into becoming an executive assistant to like a billionaire in a I think an import export firm before she passed. Both parents have passed. My mom's side of the family was Italian. My dad's side of the family Irish.
Oh, wow.
That's
You put them together, you get me.
Did you ever have a drinking problem?
I did not. I did not. However, my dad did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So it's funny when you said that you don't like to do a lot of research. It's kind of like doing a reading. You're energetically sitting with the person and allowing it to kind of just unfold. And that's what a reading feels like when you do what I do. You just sit with the person, and then what comes through comes through. But I made a choice not to actively drink and participate in anything because I was concerned about the genetic predisposition that I actually might have. So much so that I sat both of my kids down when they were in like 12, 13 years old. And they said, listen, you're coming into a period of time where alcohol, drugs, parties, all of that stuff recreationally is going to be what's the norm. Here's the deal. Here's your genetics. Where one person could have a beer, 2 beers, and it'll be fine. Your life could take a hard left and never look the same.
You know, that's so much. I had the same conversation with my kids, the 2 older ones, and I'll never forget them saying, can we go to the doctor and have a blood test and find out if we have that?
If we can drink or not?
If we have it. And I mean, they were little.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but you know, it's just, it's something that we're going to watch, you know, because we are both sober for a very long time and have the genetic disposition and followed suit.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
You're raised in Queens. Is that where your dad was?
About 10 or 11. And then I moved. I always went to school on Long Island, but I lived in Queens.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And that was because
my mom wanted me in a Long Island school. My grandmother's house had an elementary school behind it.
So you had that address.
So my mom wanted me to go to that school so I could walk to and from school. So I used to go home to my grandmother for lunch. And people would be like, aren't you going to come to the cafeteria? I was like, I was like, I got macaroni and meatballs waiting for me when I get back. Fried on Monday from Sunday.
Oh, and that's awesome. Do you have siblings?
I do not. But my mom was one of 11 kids. So my mom's side of the family, very large, grandma's house on Sunday, a lot of people. So I never really felt like I was an only child because I had so many cousins.
Yeah.
So many cousins.
And,
cousins are like siblings.
Right. And the fact that you were so close with the rest of the family, you know.
Wow. So dad was a cop.
Dad was a cop.
I'm just going to ask you this because Kurt comes from a military father. He's the most organized person. Are you an organized person?
I am ridiculously organized.
Oh, all right. Are you are your clothes all lined up, color coordinated?
Not that ridiculous.
No,
kind of though. No, if I think about it, a little bit actually.
Yeah.
Actually, a little bit.
It's easier. Yeah, it's just easier to find stuff. What Army? Yeah. My dad was a Navy guy, and I think it was from so much of his life he lived in a cubby. Right? There were such small spaces on the ship, like you couldn't be disorganized. And then just took that into really the rest of his life and was very, and as a kid growing up now with the awareness of, ADHD and a lot of other stuff, a lot of my predisposition for, bumping into that, is why I think I was able to make that change and create order out of
oh my
chaos.
God, when we were dating, I had just come from like messy husband too, and I go to his apartment and I was just like, oh my God, I've never met a man like this.
Well, you were
And
like, how often does your housekeeper come?
Like, what housekeeper?
Yeah, and I was like,
what housekeeper?
I'm a staff writer. I don't have a housekeeper.
It was wild. So anyway, so did mom work while you were growing up? Did you have working mom? Oh,
I had,
that's
yep,
kind of
I had a working mom.
never stopped working.
Mm-mm.
Love that.
Nope,
That's kind of great.
She took 2 years off, and then when I was 2 years old, she went back to doing her job. But sticking on the organization part, when I started working, I lied about my age, and I started working at a local deli. And the owner of the deli had severe, like, everything had to be
Organized.
Yeah. And if you were not busy with a client in that deli, you had to clean. So everything had its place. There was never something that didn't need to be cleaned. His OCD was off the hook. It was like ridiculous. So at a very young age, that was very impressionable for me, that everything had to be in its place and everything had to be clean. So like to this day, there's always, now it's just a nicer bottle, but there was always some level of like, pss, 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 to clean counters. And he would yell, "Get the piss, let's go, pss, 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 let's go." And in my house, you will find that on the counter because it's like, it's in there.
Right. Okay. Well, that's
So
an interesting.
how old were you when you lied and got that job?
Yeah.
12,
12, and you said you were how old?
13.
Oh, okay. Well, a year. It's
Yeah.
a stretch.
But you needed 13 to work.
Oh, is
Well,
that
yeah,
how
yeah,
it was?
Yeah, working papers.
See, Los Angeles, I think it was 16. I don't think. Yeah, New York's always just a little.
And then I
bit.
wound up being the manager.
You did.
They made me the night manager.
Are you that guy?
I am that guy.
Okay, I
I'm-
understand that guy.
Yep, I'm that guy.
So you start, and then you learn, and then you're running
I
it.
was washing dishes in the back. That's how they hired me, just to wash dishes. And that's kind of boring. So as I was like washing dishes, I was paying attention to what was happening in the kitchen. So I watched the recipes, I watched the process, and I took it all in. And one Saturday, the chef called out, and the owner of the deli was like flipping out. And I looked at him and I went, "Why are you concerned?" I was like, "I got this." And he looked at me like I was batshit crazy. And I went, "Let me do it." And he went, "Okay." I said, "Now just move out of my way."
and
and
you're
I
how
did-
old
I
now?
was 13.
Stop.
I was 13.
Wow.
And I set up the salads. I mean, were they as pretty as the guy? No, I didn't carve out little tomatoes. You know what I'm saying? But did I get my shaved carrots going across the coleslaw? Yes, I did.
Nice.
And then I was like working the grill like for the entire day, for the entire morning rush. And anybody that's listening, a New York deli on a Saturday and a Sunday, that is a hop and rush. And I was very, very organized. So that was my kind of like, and then he made me the manager. And then people quit over that. They were like, "We're not going to answer to a kid."
That
I'm not taking
that
orders
is
from a 13-year-old.
wild.
And the guy looked at
You're
them.
kind of like Doogie Howser of the deli
Of the deli.
world.
Yeah. And then we had in the parking lot, there was a video store when video stores were video stores, like the pre-Blockbuster days. And Mr. M was the guy who used to come in for his bologna sandwich with butter on a buttered roll. And I have that ready for him before he came in because I knew what time he was coming in. So he came in, it was like right there waiting for him. And he would be like, "Can you come work for me?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm good here." And he would ask me like every time I was there, "Well, why don't you come?" And then they sold the deli. And the day that they sold the deli, Mr. M came in, and that was the one day he didn't ask. And I was like, "Don't you want to ask me something right now?" And he was like, "You want to come work for me?" And I went, "Yes." He went, "Really?" And I went, "Yes." So I left.
Now you're 14 now?
I was like 14. So I went from the deli like to the video store in the same parking lot. I felt I couldn't get out of the parking lot. And I worked there. I worked there for a long time.
And now is this in Queens or Long Island?
Long Island.
Long Island.
So you're going to school while this is
Yep.
like your afternoon job,
Yep.
your weekend job.
Yep.
I see.
And high school was in Long Island. at
High
that
school was on
point, too,
Long
yeah.
Island. But at the same time, my mom and my family were always having psychics come to the house.
Oh.
And it was at that same kind of intersection that this woman, Lydia Clark, came and she did a reading for me. And that kind of like opened my world.
when you were 14?
15.
15.
I was
Wow.
15.
That was something that your mom and
Yeah.
like
did your
grandmother,
dad?
like,
Yeah.
My
that-
dad hated it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
Like
going to say.
absolutely despised the subject matter. It used to be, he would say, "Make sure my son's not around that shit. Like, I don't want him around that bullshit."
Really?
Yeah. So when my mom and my grandma, they would have like psychics come over, I would go out. My cousins would take me out while they were doing it. Like it was a
Wow.
McDonald's day for me as a kid. Like we'd go out to, and then when they divorced, we moved into my grandmother's house.
So then you're full on psychic kid.
I'm right there.
Now,
But I actually
why do you like? Did it just grind against your dad's sense of
everything.
I mean, he
everything.
sounds very literal.
Like everything.
Was your dad a religious cat?
He came out of Catholicism.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't a churchgoer.
Right, but
he had that.
It was,
you know,
it
like
just
he was
went
the guy
against.
that he made me practice my penmanship at home.
Hey.
Wow, that's
tough.
That's
So
a military dad.
He wanted me to have a specific penmanship, and script was very, very important because he had his own script, and he wanted my signature and my script to be like ornate and flowery because that's what they taught him in Catholic school.
While he was drinking. This was all going on too. I mean, kind of, sort of. Yeah. I know so much about you right this second.
He's the guy, and maybe you'll understand this. Everybody loved him.
Yeah.
And nobody saw the downside.
Right.
Like, I was the bad son. Literally.
You were the bad son, even though you were running a deli when you're
No, like the way people would be like, you really need to do better with him. He's got a problem. Like that type of stuff.
Oh.
And I was now working with energy. I wasn't like, I didn't formally understand what I knew. Like I didn't know what the name of it was, but I knew what it felt like. So I knew what boundaries felt like. And I knew when somebody crossed a boundary with me, I didn't like that. Like, and I only knew it from the way it felt. I didn't know to call it a boundary. I didn't know that it was psychic self-defense. I didn't know any of that yet formally, but I knew like, being at the deli when somebody, something had transpired at the deli and I didn't like the way it felt. And I kind of erupted and I was like, that's not okay. You can't say that. You can't do that. A 13-year-old telling an adult, that's not okay. You can't do that. So I'm the bucking authority person. I'm the person who you have to earn my respect.
Too many opinions.
Yeah. I have way too many questions. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to know why things work that way. Because what if it can work better?
So do you take more after mom or after dad? I mean, we have a little bit of each.
I think I take more after me. I don't think I take after them. I think I am you bring the two of them together and you get me.
Right.
But I don't feel like I'm either one of them. But I have aspects of them. And I would say that I was more my mom younger and more my dad older. Like, because I can embrace things differently. Because when I got married, when I had kids, I was able to then go back and go, maybe if my mom would have handled that differently, that outcome would be different. But I didn't have the wherewithal back then to be able to do that because my mom basically walked on water. So I was like, we can't, I wasn't able to see that or process that from that perspective.
Right. Was the alcoholism the cause of their divorce?
I think I think that was a big part of it.
Right.
And the codependence that comes within that. And that dynamic, and then me again, as a kid, not knowing what I was feeling and saying stuff to my mom. Like, I remember very, very clearly, we pulled up in front of the apartment. It was a second floor garden apartment. And I said to her, okay, so when you go upstairs, you're going to see the beer can. Don't let it upset you. I want you to think about it now. Like, put yourself in there, like you're going to see it. Don't do it. Like, don't fall into it. And she'd be like, no, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. And I'm like, okay. And then we would walk up the steps. There was a little bit of a landing. And then there was 2 more steps. So you'd have to turn to go into the apartment. And then the Italian crazy would come out.
Sure. Yeah, she couldn't help herself.
She couldn't help it. Because then she knew. And I kind of felt like I was like this like old guy that would just go.
Well, you sound very adult child to me.
Yeah,
like
that.
You
do know those kids aren't supposed to be telling
the grown-ups how to
that,
be. We know a lot about that world as we kind of grew up similarly. Where who's the parents?
Yeah.
Where are the parents? A little bit. So that's really wild. That's interesting. I want to know. So you're like 15 and your mom and grandma are having psychics.
Yep.
And
why were they having
is that kind of the Italian
I think it is.
situation?
I think that there's
there's an Italian thing.
Like if you think about the culture, right? They have the Maloikia, right?
Yeah,
the evil eye.
Oh yeah,
somebody
the evil
can overlook
eye,
you and they can get over you and somebody's jealous of you and that's going to give you a headache and somebody's got to do the eyes or do the so that is kind of maybe like
the mystic
the
quality,
mystical part of the culture.
Right.
But they used to have always, like my grandmother from when she was young, apparently, they would be into that. But I had adopted my dad's philosophy that it wasn't real. So I used to be the one to make fun of the people coming to the house.
Wow.
And I was good at it.
Good at making fun of them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting because my like, and she knows this, and that's why I asked why they had to, was it about tell us what's going to happen, or was it giving them permission? Because
was it future, or was it like what you do?
Mostly future, to be honest. Most of the people that came, except for one woman that I remember, her name was Reverend Craig, and it had to be at night. This lady had a whole bunch of rules, and she was doing technically a group reading or a seance. There had to be fresh cut flowers. It had to start at a certain time. There had to be a certain number of people. And I remember I was so intrigued by all the planning that was going into it. And I was like, wow, like these people are taking this like way too seriously. Like this is like a little too much. And so my grandmother's house was a ranch house, and my grandfather built a room attached to it that we called the dancing room because my mom's youngest brother was a dancer, and like they wanted to put a ballet studio in for him. So they put in a room called the dancing room, and it had like a full mirrors and a bar, but it's basically where everybody ate. It was like where we had like all the parties and holidays was in the dancing room. So when they added the room on, they didn't take the windows from the house off because it was too expensive. They just added the room on. So you could be in two of the bedrooms and look into the dancing room. So where was I when the seance was going on? Looking out to see what was going on. So I snuck in at one point because I thought nobody would notice. And I snuck in when it first started. And the woman was like, no joke, she was like 4 feet tall. And she could have been the woman from the Poltergeist movie, right? But just older and whiter. And she like turned to me and she went, "You, out of here. You'll have enough time for this later in your life. Out." So I took it at that time that I was a kid and I was an adult and I wasn't allowed to be a participant. And it wasn't, my mom was gone for like since 1989. So somewhere like around like 1991, I remember I was passing the cemetery and it hit me. I went, oh my God, I wonder if Reverend Craig saw me doing this. Then that's what she meant.
Right.
That I would have enough time for this later in my life.
Wow.
Because she was bone chilling accurate with the stuff that she came through with the people. Like when they were talking, she was one of the people that I couldn't debunk really well.
And what was her, did she bring people through her?
Yeah, she was a medium.
She was a medium.
She was a medium. She was bringing information through from the other side to the people that were in the room with details and validations that were like chillingly accurate, which is important when you do that.
Absolutely.
Like you have to have that. It can't be like, oh, there's a lovely man standing behind you, sending you peace.
This is so interesting to me. So I want to know, all right, so you worked in the deli, then you go to the video store.
Then I went to a hospital.
As?
A phlebotomist.
No way.
Yeah.
You're good at that?
Yeah.
I have anytime I have to take blood because I have bad veins, I have a baby phlebotomist who specializes in neonatal. Yeah. Come to my house.
I'm gonna give you a secret when we're done, and you'll never have a problem again.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even with my moving veins?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Wow. So a phlebotomist, that's a
so
wild
I did that, and
turn.
I'm a few credits short of a master's degree in public health and healthcare administration.
Wow.
That's what my trajectory was. I was going into teaching and healing.
So you finished high school, and
college.
Where did you go to college?
Went to Long Island University, CW Post.
Oh wow. So did you live at home while you went to college?
I did.
All right. So
now you're with mom.
Now you're with mom.
I'm living in my grandmother's house.
I got it.
With my mother.
Right.
My godmother, her husband, and her son, all within the same house.
And that's the house with the dance room.
That's the house with the dancing room.
Right.
Wow. That's awesome.
8 people sharing one bathroom.
Oh, you had that too. He had one. He's from Jersey. 1 bathroom, 5 people sharing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's like the moment somebody goes into the bathroom, that's when grandma needs to use it. Yeah. It's like, that's the moment where
grandmother.
That's pretty much the moment. Yep.
So when you briefly mentioned this, but while all of these career stuff, which clearly you were motivated and driven towards, not necessarily success, but effort, right? And so at what point do you have the reading that turns on the light for
15?
15.
Yeah, I was 15. So my mom had a reading. So here's what happened. I wound up going for a physical and my blood work came back really off. And my cousin was with me and the doctor sat us down and said, we need to send him for more blood work and a like a head x-ray or a
Brain
brain
scan.
scan or something. And they said, we think he might have a brain tumor. And I literally watched my cousin go green. And
You're 15.
yeah. And I just remember being really, really calm. I'm like, I don't have a brain tumor. And I remember my cousin, like, she literally looked green to me. Like, she was like, and like, who's going to tell us? Like, you know, your mom. So we wound up calling my mom. She was like really super chill. She's like, okay. She's like, well, we'll make an appointment. We'll do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now we leave, and my mom, I guess, had a meltdown at work. And the woman at work said to her, what's going on? She tells this woman, and the woman said, listen, I don't know how you feel about psychics. And my mom was like, psychics?
Just fine.
She's like, but the woman upstairs that works for this guy as his executive assistant is actually a well-known psychic. Well, do you want to talk to her? And that turned out to be Lydia Clore. So my mom races up to whatever floor she's on, introduces herself, and the woman turns to my mom and says, you're concerned about your son's health.
Before she even said
Before
anything?
she said anything, she goes, he's going to be fine. So my mom now feels like, oh, thank God. Now I get home, I'll call my mom back at work, and I'm like, so what are the next steps here? It's like, I'm not really concerned, but what are the next steps? And she goes, you're absolutely fine. Don't worry about anything. I was like, oh, did the doctor call you? And she goes, no, I spoke to Lydia. I go, was Lydia in the doctor's office? And she said, no, Lydia is the psychic that works like 5 floors above me. And in my mind, I'm like, do I need to call my father right now? Like, is he going to be scheduling this test? Like, because we are going to do a follow-up, right? We're not going to just go on Lydia's word. So we did the test. I was fine. But my mom validates for the woman, Lydia, like, you know, everything's great. Would you ever come to do like a house party? And she was not that person.
Lydia.
No, she was known. She doesn't go to people's houses. She said, yes, I will go. Under one condition. I need to meet your son.
Huh.
So my mom comes home and says to me, where are you going to be on August, whatever the date was? I was like, I don't know why. She goes, well, this woman, Lydia, wants to come. She said, but the caveat is she wants to meet you now. I'm like, what am I, like the bait to get her there? And my mom went, yeah, I think so. She wants to meet you. So I was like, all right. So she came. She read 17 people that day. And one by one, as they were coming out of the room, they were like blown away. And I couldn't poke holes in her readings the way I could with some of the other people.
Right.
And I'm like, you guys realize she's like just like reading your personalities, right? Like she's kind of just then telling you stuff that aligns with like, is your personality. So my cousin came out and she was like, no, because how would she know? And then she listed all these things. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how she would know that. I go, Then my grandmother came out.
This is long before Google.
Oh God, this is 1985.
Right.
So then my grandmother came out and she was upset. Now my grandmother was like my world. So I'm like, what did that woman say to you to make you upset? And she said, I'm not upset. I'm happy. These are happy tears. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. What did she say to you to make you upset? She goes, she told me that your grandfather was with me. And I looked at her and I was like, what do you mean? She goes, she told me that Tony was standing next to me. So I started to laugh. I'm like, Grandma, you were introduced to her as Mrs. Esposito.
Yeah.
I go, you can't get more Italian than Mrs. Esposito. Now let's just throw in a Tony. I was like, I'm like, come on. And she said, if you don't believe that your grandfather, who loved me more than life itself, is still with me, that sounds like a you issue. And I was like, And then she said, how would she know that he was buried with a mandolin? And I was like, was he? And she goes, yeah. So now I go to the list of the people who went for a reading before my grandmother to see who could Lydia have extrapolated that information, and let's give it to the oldest woman in the room.
Right.
None of them. None of the people. They were mostly friends. They were mostly like my mom's, the people that we knew.
And if you didn't know.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So then like I later found out that was allegedly true because my grandfather died before I was born. So I was like, okay, that's really freaky. So then my cousin, when she came out, she goes, you need to go. I'm like, Roseanne, I am not going to give this woman money to tell me a story. I'm like, that's not happening. She goes, I'll pay for you to go. And as soon as she said that, I went to my mom and went, can I? And my mom went, yes, as long as you treat her with respect. And I went, okay. I go, I will treat her with respect. I go, but I'm not going to help her the way you people do. So I go in and she asked me for my high school ring. I took it off and I handed it to her. And she smiled at me and she said, "Do you know you're the reason why I'm here?" And I went, "No." I go, "But my mom told me that you wanted to meet me." She goes, "I did." And then she took my high school ring and she went to her third eye, right? And she does something called psychometry. And psychometry is where you can tune into a person's energy by holding an object that belongs to theirs. And this is where I always tell people that for folks that are listening and watching, if you ever go for a reading, if it's a mediumship reading, never give the medium a photo of a person who passed or something that belonged to them, because you can actually read the energy accurately and it's not a connection. So I just put that as a teaching nugget. But she never looked at me. She had her eyes closed and she said, "The reason why I'm here today is to put you on your path. You have highly evolved beings of white and gold light that are ready to work with you. And you're going to change the way millions of people look at my field." This is her opening line to me.
Wow.
And she's not looking at me. So here I am at 15, like, oh my God, this lady is batshit crazy.
I'm a
like
phlebotomist.
Like, no, I wasn't even a phlebotomist. I was like, I was like slinging
video store.
movies. You know what I'm saying? It was like throwing out Fatal Attraction at the moment. It was kind of crazy. It was really kind of crazy.
Wow.
That was the first part of her reading. And then the second part she gave me, it was accurate, but I called it specifically general. Like it was specific to me, but general enough that I could poke holes in it and go, I could apply this to like 5 other guys in high school. Then the last part was kind of unnerving because she gave me stuff that I would have had to have been with her. I would have had to have confided stuff into her for her to give it back to me. Like my mother didn't know. There's nobody in the house that could have known the stuff that she started talking about. Then she gave me the names of the people that were connected and then the outcome to one of them. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, that's not this person, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Within 2 weeks, it made absolute sense. It happened. It hadn't happened yet. It got all revealed. So it was a complete like rug pulling party for me. It's like somebody pulled the energy out from underneath me. And my brain, because the way it works, was like, I don't like this. I feel violated. How did this woman do this? And oh my God, if she can do this, then how do I make sure nobody else in this house that they bring in here can do that again? Because like, I don't want people like knowing what I'm doing.
My stuff.
Yeah, I didn't like the way that felt. It's like,
that's
it's like going through my drawers. It was like, And that sent me to the public library. And that was the big turning point because now I'm reading about psychic abilities and psychic phenomena and all these things in books that are like, to me, I'm like, this is common sense. Like, this is not psychic.
Right.
And then I started having like little moments. Like I remember saying to a high school friend, I'm like, "You've seen your dead grandfather, right?" And he went, "No." I'm like, "You've never, ever seen your dead grandfather or any relative that's passed?" He's like, "No." "Why, have you?" And I went, "Yes, I've actually have had those moments." So I started to recognize that I had to reframe a lot of my upbringing. So because I came from the New York City police officer mentality, I was not calling it psychic. I just consider this to be like normal, and
So,
it is normal. But
what does that mean though? Like you had, when you said I was being visited by my relatives, were you having conversation? Were you just hearing them? Were you just seeing them?
so this is one of the biggest ones for me. I walked out of the shower. I had taken a shower and I was towel drying my hair. And when I took the towel off, so my grandmother, when you walked into her house, there was a dining room, and she used to sit facing the 19-inch RCA television in the dining room, crocheting and watching her stuff, or cooking at the dining room table. And I saw this man just kind of like look back at me, and it startled me because he was there and then he wasn't there. And my grandma went, "What's the matter?" And I said, "There was a man that was just sitting there." And she went, "Describe him." So I described him that he looked like my oldest uncle with more hair and a space between his teeth. That's how clear I saw him. And she goes, "That's just your grandfather. He's watching my stories with me." And then turned around and went back to watching Love of Life.
Right.
And I was like, okay. That to me was normal.
Oh, I
It
see.
wasn't abnormal.
Nobody thought that because grandmom, everybody.
Nope.
Okay.
And then I used to have a dream of this, I used to call him my little old man friend. So I would see this old man, and if I looked at him, he went blurry. But if I looked away from him, he was kind of clearer. And in the dreams, we would have conversations, and he would give me information that I would go back and talk to my mom about, or my grandmother, or sometimes it was like future information. It wasn't a lot, but it happened enough that they'd go, "Have you heard from your little old man friend?" They knew it was my grandfather, but they never said to me, "That's your grandfather." They just kind of like waited until it happened. organically.
Because it was the culture you grew up in, nobody thought it was odd.
Nope.
It's like, if you're a plumber's kid
Right.
and you're suddenly fixing the garbage disposal,
Right.
everybody just figured, well, he just knows how to do it, right?
Yeah, and my grandmother was ridiculously intuitive. My mom was ridiculously intuitive. And I would say to my mom, how did you know that? And she would laugh and go, I know you. So I just would be like, okay. But I think that it's in the family. Like there's definitely a genetic predisposition.
Awesome.
Both my kids have it,
Yes. Well, yeah. Wow. Okay. So you go to college.
My wife is so excited right now.
I'm so excited right now.
As am I.
I am very much a believer of all these things. So,
well, you also lost people very young.
I lost people when I was really young. So,
I lost my mom at 19.
I did too.
Yeah.
My mom was, I was 20. My mom was,
we have that in common.
Yeah.
And that changes you, so from the ages of 15 to 19, I was known. When I started doing readings, I became very popular very quickly because I was very accurate. And what I said happened. And people, when I had worked at a psychic fair, people would book with John and then they'd walk into the room and they'd be like, that's John.
And you're like a kid.
And I was like literally a kid. And I remember one woman went back to the front desk and she says, I'm not talking to a kid. And the woman who ran the fair, she said, you should talk to the kid now. She says, because in a very short period of time, you're not going to be able to talk to the kid. So I was very, very busy very quickly. And then my mom died. I should back up and say, I started in 1985. In 1987, I lost an uncle. And that was a like world mind-blowing experience. It was the first death that I had experienced where I saw what grief does in a family, like how it like disrupts everything. And it was something that I saw happen and couldn't stop. So it was it was a very hard thing because at 16, I was getting ready to go to a friend's house to do a reading for them. And I really wanted to impress them. So people didn't know anything about me. And I wanted to I was going to do a tarot reading for her. So I meditated before I left. And in that meditation, I saw my uncle walk into my sight of vision, then walk towards me, put his left arm up, grab it and collapse. So I knew that there was going to be a heart issue by the symbolism of what I was seeing.
Oh my God.
And he was like only 52. So he was young.
Wow.
And he's still alive at this point.
At that point, he was alive.
Yeah.
This was May of 1987, I believe. And then he passed in December of 1987.
Back up 1 second. How did you get from Lydia telling you have this thing to then believing it enough to then start doing readings?
So that happened relatively quickly. Lydia did the reading, and then the stuff happened really. The stuff that she told me that was going to happen wound up happening. Got my attention. Library happens. Want to figure out how to put a psychic alarm system so nobody can violate my energy like that again. Now my mind's blown because I'm like, wait, hold on. This is like psychic. Oh, that was common sense. I do my little reconnaissance in my world. Like, did you ever have this? Did you ever have that? I read everything that the public library had. And that time it was under the occult section. I was so embarrassed to check the books out that I sat on the floor of the public library because the word occult had the word cult in it and it sounded bad. So I didn't want the librarian to know I was reading these books at that age. And then once I graduated from there, I should also probably say I was driving illegally. I was illegally, I was very mature. And my mom,
no shit.
Yeah, I was very, very mature. And my mom would be like, just so you know, I'm unofficially sanctioning you driving, but I'm just going to let you know right now, if you get stopped, you stole the car. Okay. She was like, I'm absolutely throwing your ass under the bus. She's like, your father's a NYPD. She goes, it's going to look bad for him. She's like, don't get stopped. So I was now driving illegally and going to, doing stuff. Anyway, long story short, I go to a Walden Books and I go to the back of the section, and the way the shelves were, they were kind of like the Pan Am building in the Manhattan. It kind of went down and this. And a deck of tarot cards fell off of the shelf. I'm 3 feet away from it and it just fell off the shelf. And it was just me and the manager of the store, and she was in the middle of the store and she looked at me and she went, well, clearly you're supposed to buy those. So I did. I bought my first tarot deck. It's called the Tarot Classic. And then I started kind of reading the little pamphlet that came with it.
Right.
And then at my grandmother's house, I started reading my cousins. And I said to one of my cousins, I said, Florence, can I do this? And she was like, sure. So she thinks we're playing a game. And then in the middle of me doing this, like, and I'm like reading the book and I'm looking at the cards, and they started talking to me. And this is where, and I don't really talk about this part too much, but I played piano from the age of 5 to the age of 16, where I played and took lessons. And the teacher that I had, my first teacher, Diane, was just drop dead gorgeous to me. And that's why I was playing piano. Like, I had a crush on her. And then Diane got married and left. And I got Jan. And Jan was not drop dead gorgeous. And I did not want to take piano any longer, but they forced me. And I remember my aunt was playing a piece. It's called Flower Song. And I had not been practicing. You know, I was that kid. Like, are you going to practice? Are you going to practice? I was that kid. And my mom looked at me with disgust. She went, you'll never play like that. And she like turned around and walked out of the room when her sister was playing. 2 weeks.
2 weeks you played
For
that
that
way?
song.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I was like, okay. And I had made sure that I shifted my energy into the piano. And then I used to get feelings from the keyboard. Like, the keys would talk to me. And when I would tell that to the teacher, she would be like, that's amazing. You need to listen to what the keys are saying.
What were
Listen
they
to
saying?
the piano. Like,
Hit me?
No, hit me. No, it was more like a calling. Like, I would practice for like 2 hours
Right.
until my wrist hurt. And the piano was in my actual room. So then I would go like kind of watch TV or do homework. And it was like the piano was like calling me back to it. And then I would go back and like, play more. And I, very dedicated to, when I decided to, I was very dedicated to doing it. So I used to tell her the piano keys were talking to me. And then I started with the tarot. And when I started with the tarot, something pretty interesting took place. The piano stopped talking to me.
Oh, wow.
And the cards picked up that conversation.
Huh.
So the executive producer of Crossing Over is a gentleman by the name of Paul Shabelson. And when I told him this story, Paul said to me, oh, they were using the piano to tune you. And I went, yeah, I guess they were.
Huh.
And that was the moment where I knew he was the perfect person to produce the TV show Crossing Over, because he completely got me to see something in a way that I didn't see it.
Right. Wow. Okay, so you're 16
Yep.
and now you're kind of doing this for friends, and it's tarot readings.
I'm reading, yes, I'm doing psychometry like Lydia did with me.
Okay.
A little basic numerology, looking at your personal year and your life path, and then usually using cards. That was pretty much it. And then I had always gotten like names of people and they were living. Then it started to be dead people. And I didn't know what that meant. So I would say to people, well, this is just a validation of what I'm saying, because just pay attention to what's coming up because I know the people in your lives. I didn't know. And it was a woman, her name was Shelley Peck. We were at a psychic fair and she leaned over to me and she said, are you not seeing what you're doing? And I went, I see I'm doing a reading. Like, why are you interrupting me? And she goes, no, honey. She's like, you're talking to her dead father. Or it was like that person was the grandmother. It was a grandmother. And she said something about, cheese, whatever. And the woman said, yeah, that's really, really true. And now I'm like on the spot because I wasn't getting that. She was getting that. But now she's telling me to pick up the reading where she left off. And I'm like, I don't know how this works. Like, I don't do that. Like, I'm just going to read her cards now, But I was already getting tuned into people who had passed. So if anybody saw me that period of time, I would say to them, I'm going to get names of people that are connected to you, both living and past.
Do you think that this intuitiveness that you have is something that, well, you did say there was a genetic component, but you know how they say we all have some sort of capacity for this?
Everybody has intuition.
Right. We just, only use 10% of our brain or whatever the thing is. So do you feel like it just, you were just allowed to work on it, to like it was supported? And I don't even know what I'm asking.
Exactly. I think from a universal, I think from a universal standpoint, we're all here for lessons and a purpose. And I think I was given an amazing privilege to be able to be put in the circumstances, even the negative ones, because they shaped and became catalysts for who I am today. And I don't think I would change anything on the journey, because if I did, it would change the people that I was able to help. So I think everybody has intuition, but if I tell you that, like, about, I don't know, a decade ago, somebody asked me a question that they thought was going to be a really simple question, And it wasn't a simple question for me. She said, if the doctor, because I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, if the doctor from Doctor Who showed up with the blue box on your driveway, where would you want him to take you? And it hit me really hard because I wanted to give her a really good answer. And I couldn't because I wanted to really think about it. And I thought about it for quite a while. I think it was well over a year. That's how seriously I took this question. And it was an interesting reveal. The journey for me was, if I wanted to go back in time, would I go back in time and stop my mom's cancer? And what does that look like? What does my life look like now? Right?
If you were able to do that.
If I was able to do that, because my work wouldn't have shifted.
Oh,
my
everything.
life wouldn't have shifted.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wasn't able to until I got past the age that she was. She died at 48. So until I got...
Mine was 47, my mom.
Until I got past that age, I wasn't able to kind of really revisit some stuff from that perspective. But yeah, I feel privileged. That's the word. To do what I do is a privilege because I get a chance to be able to turn the lights on for people that are living in the dark, if they allow me.
It's an interesting thing you say, because it's also a way to reframe grief in a way, because what you're saying is, if anything was different than what had happened, my path would have been altered. So, instead of saying, oh, poor me, I lost my mother at such a young age, it's almost like, oh yeah, but that was part of the story.
Yeah.
That was part of the narrative. And so it's not that it brings joy to it, but it does bring a certain purpose to it.
I always want people to look for the lesson. Like, if anybody's listening to this and you're stuck or stagnant in any aspect of your life, try to be objective. Try to take an aerial view of where you're at, because you want to be able to understand the why. And I think that metaphysical tools can be really, really helpful. I have so many clients that come to me that I'll be like, maybe like 10 minutes into a reading, and I realize, you know what? They really don't need me. They think they need me, but they don't need me. They need a grief specialist. And you know what? I've got the right one for them.
Right.
Or the majority of times I get that feeling is because they need an astrologer, and they need somebody to look at their lives to help them become unstuck. And mediumship's not going to do that. Like, psychically, I could help you to a point, but astrologically, that's your blueprint. So if you're building that house, you want that architectural blueprint to look at. And what does the projection look like for you? And do you like it or not? How can you shift it? But if we can look for the lesson in something, then we get the understanding of the why.
I was going to say, it's just hearing your process with this, and maybe it's because I'm sensing people passing, but whatever. But I just found myself getting incredibly sad.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And maybe I'm picking up on some of that for you, but and not sad like in a, oh, woe is me kind of sadness, but just like knowing that the engagement for you often deals with people who are lost in perhaps that disconnect, right? And looking for validation or some sort of connection that is gone. And to hear you say, sometimes I can help and sometimes it's not my bag, right?
Right.
But it's
and knowing when you need to say that.
Right.
Like, that's important. I remember, like, I was a frequent guest on Larry King, and that's a live show. You're in 90 countries, and as amazing as Larry was Larry, right? So, if you had the opportunity to be interviewed by him, you know what that feels like, right? It's like when the cameras are off, he's nowhere energetically connected to you.
Right.
And then the camera goes on and it's like, it's like
this
whoa.
brutal frankness.
It's like, okay. And I remember taking a phone call and I wasn't able to read for the person. And I said, I'm so sorry. I can't connect with you. And we go to commercial break and he just like looked at me and he didn't disengage like he normally did. And I was like, he goes, I might actually believe you. And I looked at him and was like, what? He goes, but I didn't read her. He goes, that's why I might actually believe you now. He goes, because you could have said anything. He goes, and you didn't. I go, I couldn't say anything because I didn't get anything. I was like, I need to get something in order to say something. I said, and I wasn't really feeling anything.
So when people come to you, do they come with specific questions, or they just come with like, what's your vibe, man?
They come with expectation.
Oh, I see.
They come with I want to hear from my so-and-so. Usually there's there's I call it the red carpet of the afterlife that they want the person to walk down. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to read the publicist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get who's with you in the crew. So.
Well, let me ask you, let's go back. So how do you become a person that actually makes a living doing this? And how do you become John Edwards? I mean, how do you?
And also, when you make that decision, so clearly you're a young man driven, a full-on career at 15. And, when you make that decision not to become a healthcare
phlebotomist,
or getting your master's, and this is what I'm going to do. What's the reaction? Because your mom is still around at that point, yes?
No, mom's gone.
Mom is gone. But family, friend, like what's the reaction, and did that impact that decision or that move at all?
Supportive, I would imagine.
So, how I was at 13. Now just add 5 years, right? Like, I'm that person. I'm very much like in alignment with who I want to be. I just don't know it yet. And I'm processing the loss of my mother and the disconnect from my father because I really wasn't close to him. We were no contact when he died. So it was that kind of like weaving of that, like, I hate to say it, but it was like that energy of like the wrong parent passed, like I understood what that energy felt like. So like there's a lot of lessons very, very early on for me. Lived with my grandmother. I stayed with her until I got married. Or right before I got married, I moved out.
I was going to say, did you have girlfriends during this whole time too?
Sporadically. Like nothing,
did you like?
Yeah. That was the thing that Lydia was picking up on. Like she was talking about like somebody that I was dating who was dating somebody else. And she was telling me that this person wasn't going to be with the person that she was already dating, that she was going to wind up with this guy who worked where she worked. And I'm like, I know where she works. That guy doesn't work there. There's nobody there with that name. And then 2 weeks later, I found out that she had a side job that I didn't know about. And she wound up dating this guy that Lydia talked about for 5 years after. So yeah, mind-blowing stuff. So my mom passed in 1989. That kind of put me on the mediumship path, only out of necessity. Like, where is she? Like, and my readings changed as a result. So now I paid attention to the people coming through in the beginning. And I remember a woman sitting with me and I said, hey, I want you to know that I'm going to get to the stuff that you want to know, but I can like kind of connect with dead people. So I have to get them out of the way in the beginning because otherwise it feels like, hey, like pay attention. So I would do that in the beginning of my readings. I would kind of like do a couple of things and move them off and then focus on why I thought the client was there. One woman's dad would not go away. I could not get him to shut up. And I kept apologizing to her. And I knew I had another client waiting for me. And now I'm like, I haven't even gotten into like her life yet. And we're like, the reading's almost over and her dad's going. And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I can't, your dad's not like, he's just not stopping.
He won't.
Yeah, he's not stopping. And it was the way she touched my hand. I can't explain it. She leaned across and she touched my hand and she said, it's okay. And I went, it is? And she goes, that's my dad.
Right.
It was how she said it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, all right. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't even feel like I even worked yet because like all I did was pass on what he was telling me.
Right.
So that reading ended and it was only a mediumship reading. And I really remember her because when my mom passed, I understood that feeling. I knew what she meant. So out of the need for my own grief, my work shifted. So now I'm working at the hospital. I wind up meeting my wife. She was, get ready, because we're going in a whole different direction. She was a ballroom dance teacher. And I had gone to a psychic fair that I was supposed to be lecturing at, and I didn't want to go because I had just broken up with somebody and it was in a bad spot. And I was like, I'm not going. And my guides were like, you're going. Like, you have an obligation to go. So I drive to the Uniondale Marriott in Long Island, and I'm ready to walk into what I think is going to be a psychic fair. And I walked in to like what looked like naked women everywhere. And I was like, what is going on here? And ballroom dance costumes, right? It was my first introduction to like the dance world. There's no Dancing with the Stars on back then, right? So it's, the only ballroom dancing I'd ever seen before was on PBS. That sometimes would be on during their like, their like pitch shows. So like, I'm like, whoa. And it was a really fun, upbeat feeling. I was like, oh, I like the way this feels. But now I had to go lecture. So the hotel overbooked. They booked the ballroom dance competition and the psychic fair in the same space. So the psychic fair was smaller and got moved over to the side. So I walked into the ballroom to watch some of the dancing, and some woman came over to me and said, do you want to do this? And I was like, no. And she said, well, here's my card. And I took the card and I put it in my appointment book. And then a couple weeks later, I had a really tough night of readings, and I was just like working constantly. And I took my appointment book and tossed it. And I was like, I need to go find something fun to do. And I tossed my appointment book, and out popped the card. And I wound up going, and my wife wound up being my first dance instructor. So that's how I met her. And to stay in her world, because that is a crazy ass world. Here I am, Italian male, growing up in that kind of culture, dating somebody who's now got other men touching her. Like it wasn't a comfortable environment. So I wanted to become part of that world. So I became a teacher.
A ballroom dancing teacher?
I did. I became a teacher.
I love that.
At a different studio. To stay part of her world.
So you could touch women while she was touching.
I mean, if you want to put it like that. But they were much older women.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah.
Well, wait a minute. So now you're no longer a phlebotomist. Now you've had like a gajillion lives. So now
Swear to God, it's like I packed a lot in.
Really?
I tell my kids, if I go, I had a good run.
Wow. So how old are you now, ballroom dancing teacher?
1993.
So you're like in your
20s.
early 20s.
Yeah. So I'm working at the hospital now. And I shift from clinical to moving into administrative, because that's where my career is going to be, right? So I'm in admin. Hated it, but I'm in that environment, sitting at a desk, doing the readings full time, and now I'm throwing in dancing at night. So that's my world.
Wow.
And then to answer your question in a long-winded way, my wife said to me, like, why are you just killing yourself at the hospital? She's like, why don't you quit your job and just do readings? And I looked at her like she had 75 heads. I was like, quit my job, my real job with my degree that I went to, what, are you crazy? I'm like, and why would you even suggest that? Like, I'm supposed to be the provider. Like, I'm supposed to have like a, like a real job. And she said, yeah, but you're killing yourself. She's like, and it's not your passion. I was like, yeah, but I like the fact that if I don't want to read somebody, like, I don't have to read them. Like, I don't want to read them for my mortgage. Like, I want my job to be that. So it was kind of becoming not an argument, but enough of a conversation that most of the male audience listening right now will understand, that you just kind of say like, yeah, okay, well, I'll think about that. And if this happens, then maybe I'll consider that. And if this happens was, I was promised an 18% increase at my job and a title change as a bonus. So I said, well, if I don't get the increase, I'll take that as a universal sign that I'm not supposed to be at the hospital anymore and I'm supposed to focus on my readings. She goes, I think that's true. I think you should really consider that. I was like, okay. Argument was now avoided. We're not having that conversation. I go about my business, and then I'm sitting in my review and I got a 2% increase after an 18% promise. And I just remember thinking, holy shit, the universe is calling me out on this. And I knew in that moment I had to leave. Like, I kind of felt like, if you're ever in that position where you're like, oh, this is the moment, like, I need to quit my job. Like, this is that moment. And I gave them 10 weeks notice, and I left on Halloween of 1995.
So then how do you, so now you're going to be doing readings
Full time.
As a full-time
This is my job.
How do you market yourself?
I didn't have to.
People just found out about you?
When I tell you I didn't have to, by word of mouth, I was known. I was known before TV. I was known before books. I was known before radio.
Wow.
I had a very extensive waiting list of people that wanted to see me.
Do you think that was an offshoot of the family? I'm sure. Like, or sort of that community, or was it
I don't know.
An Italian-American community that you were?
No,
I
just
think it
word
was
of
just
mouth.
it was a
It was
word of
word of
mouth
mouth.
following. And I take what I do very seriously, and I always have. So
I love that.
yeah, I was very, I said,
Are you still being
privileged.
ballroom dancing teacher?
I dance with my daughter now.
That's
I
fantastic.
dance with my daughter.
Wow. So, but okay. All right. So now we're in early 20s or middle 20s and you're full time.
And now, so I can't keep up with the private readings. Like I can't keep up with. So the overflow, I turned into group readings, and I like to teach. So from a teaching standpoint, I was like, well, I should probably write a book so I could educate people, so that there's something that I can, because I always felt people wanted more and more and more. And I'm like, well, how do I'm only one person. How can I give more? How can I give more information? So that came up, the book came out, and I had already been doing radio. I was doing a lot of morning radio shows. I was like a go-to on morning radio for a long time.
Would they say a medium or a psychic?
Both.
Both.
So people call up and I would answer their questions and do readings for them. Like that was kind of like my process. And then I had a meeting with my publisher, and they said, we have to talk about the marketing for your book. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. What do you need me to do? And they said, we're going to need you to do TV. And I was like, TV? I was like, I don't do TV. I was like, I do radio. And they looked at me like, what? And I was like, I don't really have an interest in television. I said, I like radio because people can know what I do, my voice, and my name. I said, and I kind of get to keep my life. And they were like, yeah, you're going to have to do TV for the book. And as a result of that, I got panicky. So I went to the producers of the radio shows and said, do you guys have any like contacts at like TV? And I started making sure that I was going to put myself in an environment that was going to be friendly. So I started doing local television. And then that became the talk show circuit. And one of the talk show producers I wound up meeting with, actually out here. And after I talked to her, she said, I want to do a show with you. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I was like, can we do like a late night call-in show? Like, that'd be kind of cool. And she was like, not radio. I was like, what, like TV? I said, nobody's going to put me on TV. And she's like, I think they might. I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I don't really see that. And I couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, wait a minute. I want to know, this is going to be such a lame question. Doesn't your psychic ability tell you like, I should do this TV show because it's going to be very successful? Or
No.
is that, it doesn't say that?
No, because my own insecurity and ego of being on television was like, I don't want to be in front of people. I have a Scorpio rising. Remember?
Oh, okay. Right. You want to hide.
I want to hide.
Oh my God. That makes so much sense about you.
Yeah.
My husband, that's who I was talking to.
So yeah, had like people in my world back then didn't believe when I was having the success with television that I didn't want to be on television, that I saw what television was and I utilized it as an instrument to raise the awareness for the subject matter. I was aware of the opportunity and I was completely appreciative of it.
It's such a great, I'm just going to say it's such a great calling. We love the whole be of service component of life because it has saved our lives, really. That we've both learned that to be of love and service is really...
It's also the only substantial esteem, really, that one can...
Seriously.
That one can hold on to.
I always feel like I'm as good as my last reading. It doesn't matter. I've got a 40-year career. It's like you have to always come from the same place. And I want to be better. I always want to be better. I don't want to just settle.
You're still curious.
I'm still curious.
Yeah.
I'm still a student.
Right.
I'm still evolving. I'm still learning.
That's the shit. I mean,
that's why we're here.
We have the same...
I get to ask you this question, and a lot of times I ask this question and it doesn't land with particular guests, but it definitely will with you, which is for my work stuff, the stuff that's out there, there's a certain persona or a book on me, if you will, so that when I show up someplace, to a new place, meeting new people, there's a certain expectation of perhaps the lore that is of my work, and there's an expectation of who I am, and I'm guilty of sometimes leaning into that on occasion, but it's never really the truth. And so for you doing what you do, there must be that component when you show up someplace new, that people have an expectation of who you are and what you're going to be like, and how much of that is true. And what do you do with that energy when you're there?
So it's not a question that I can actually answer, and I'll tell you why. It's really upon the person that's meeting me and their bias. Because you have to look at it from a perspective of what I do rubs up against somebody's belief system, and it's either going to be something that's going to confirm their belief system, or I'm going to be antithetical to their belief system, right?
Right.
So I have had
very
unique
interesting.
experiences.
That is.
It's so specific.
Yeah,
Right.
because like either they know me from the work that I do and they get it and they go, oh, you're coming from a place of educating and teaching people. You want to empower people and they get that. Or they're like, oh my God, you're like the biggest douche in the universe on South Park. Did you know that? Like,
Do they make fun of you on
yeah, I have
South
a
Park?
whole episode dedicated to me.
I love
I am
that.
the biggest douche in the universe. I mean, I would like to say I think there's a few other people right now in the world that can claim that title.
100%.
I'd be more than willing to give it up. But I think it depends upon the bias. Right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Catch somebody with a religious bias, I'm demonic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's up to the person and their bias. So here's how somebody like me shows up. Here I am. I'm going to do me. Right? So, and there's expectations on a positive level, on a negative level. Somebody comes in for a reading and it's like they pre-produce in their mind how that reading's going to go. And it's like, whoa. Like, let me do the reading first because I might even get that person.
Yeah, because I'm not getting anything performative about you.
I'm still not performing. Okay, so wait, this will be funny.
Okay.
Because you guys will get this. Joni Morchenko, producer, writer for Will and Grace. I had known her for a number of years. And she asked me if I would come on Will and Grace. And I said no. I was like, no, I can't do that. And she and I became friendly because I got a reference in a reading on Crossing Over about an episode of Will and Grace that she wrote. It was the water bra episode. And so I get a lot of references. The video store was like, it's like just a treasure trove of information up there for me. So she reaches out and it was like a joke. So kind of like Mr. M coming in for his, bologna on a buttered roll. Every now and again, I would get an email from Joni like, come on, Will and Grace. So in 2004, she and I spoke. Crossing Over was ending. And she said, what are you doing? And I said, I've got a new book coming out. She goes, come on, Will and Grace. And I went, you know what? Why not? Let's do this. So I was like, yeah, but I can't really act. And she's like, all right, well, what are you doing right now? I said, well, I've got a book signing that's coming up for my latest book. And she's like, well, what do you do at the book signing? I go, I pretty much go, who do I write this out to? And then she goes, great, that's all I need.
That's all I need.
And she wrote an entire episode around me at a book signing with the characters, right? So I thought it was going to be kind of fun. So now I've never been on a sitcom before. I've never done anything like that. And I go to the rehearsals for the week, like they rehearsed every day. So it was kind of like behind the scenes of a show that I liked. And it was fun to watch. And then it came time to the day that they did the rehearsal. And it was the afternoon of the day they were going to film. And I'm on the set and I do my thing in front of Sean Hayes. And then everybody's done, but nobody told me to leave. Like nobody said like, okay, you're like, so I'm still sitting on the set. And out of the darkness, the director yells, you're really good at what you do. And I was like, thank you. And he yells out, because you sure as shit can't act.
Oh.
And I was like,
I guess it's time to leave.
Thank you. It's like,
Thank you. Yeah.
so yeah, no, performative.
No,
I had a hard time. I mean, to be really honest, when I was doing the ballroom dancing stuff, because I love the competition of it.
Right.
I love the competitive side of it and like that. But there is a performative side to that.
Yes.
And when you're a student, it's one thing, but when you're the teacher and you're representing the students, it's another whole thing. And I would have the coaches come up to me, the judges, and say, your students are amazing. Like they do really, they still win that because I'm a good teacher. So they would do really, really well. And then they would critique me and they'd be like, but you need to kind of dance out more. And I'd be like, what? It's like, you need to kind of, you're the teacher. Like you need to perform, and then if you meet my wife, you'll be like, you'll get like,
she's the performer.
Leo, just like here I am.
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
She would
oh.
constantly say like, when we went to the Golden Globes and all that, like she would look at me and be like, this is all wasted on you. She's like, all of it completely wasted.
Yeah.
I'm like, pretty much.
I find that very, very refreshing. Absolutely. Actually.
To that end, let's shift because now we go to you have your career, your life, and now or your career and now life intervenes. You're married, you have children, and now what does that look like in terms of their understanding what dad does, their connection to it? Because that's not the, oh yeah, my dad's a cop, or my even my mom's an actor. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
different.
It's a different thing, and I would imagine sometimes challenging, right?
It really wasn't, because I would just say stuff like, do you speak Portuguese in school? Because mom's Portuguese. And they go, no. I'd be like, right. Why? And they go, because people don't understand it. I go, exactly. I go, so daddy speaks energy. So don't speak energy in school. Because people aren't going to understand that. So they were raised with this in a very normal, philosophical,
right.
understanding, practical, energetic way. Astrology, numerology, tarot, protecting your energy, all of that. Very, very significant part of my parenting with them.
Oh, wow. So I know the one daughter is an astrologer, or she's an actress.
Yes.
Very good actress, but she's also very into that. And then who's the other boy?
So my son is 5 years older,
Okay.
and he is a third-year med student.
Oh, wow. Nice. What's his specialty? Does he have one yet?
I think he's going to lean into cardiology, which is also funny because when he was a freshman in high school, I was concerned about his mathematical science kind of brain and was it going to rub up against what I do now? So I was always looking at where the lessons are coming from. So I said, Justin, I'd love you to look into astrology. Have your chart done. So he had his chart done and then he studied astrology. So both of my kids are technically astrologers.
Wow.
Like they both can actually look at your chart and read the chart. I can't do that. It's not my thing.
Do they have any psychic gifts?
Both of them.
Both of them do?
Everybody that's listening to us right now
has
is
it.
intuitive.
I know
and I
that.
don't like using it as a gift because I think that as soon as we say somebody has a gift, then we're saying that they're more special than someone else.
That's
right?
exactly right.
So I like to use it as it's an ability. So everybody has abilities and they vary, right? They're just different. And they will, through their lens, come out differently. So as the Capricorn, it's going to come out different through you in your chart than it will in yours as the Taurus, right?
This is so interesting to me. You are so interesting to me.
Thank you.
Really, really interesting. Okay. Where are we? I'm a little like
You're a
I'm
little bit lost.
dazed and
No,
confused.
this is really
and of course wanting to say anything.
Well, no, I think for me to, and you answered it so eloquently and clearly, because it is, how do you bring your influences that you had growing up into your parenting, right? Because, we take all the lessons, the hard ones as well as the magical ones into, our relationship and the relationship with our kids. And it sounds like it's been fairly, there's been a groove with it. Do you know what I mean? It's fascinating.
Communication. I think it all boils down to really good communication.
Yeah.
So for me, I take the opportunity to express what I'm thinking and feeling to my kids. We have conversations about death. Sometimes it's like, when they were younger, when my son was younger, I would say, hey, in case I get abducted by aliens, I want you to know this. And then we'd have a really deep conversation. Now, I didn't say, in case I die, I want you to know this. But I lost my mother at 19. I know what that feels like. I know the conversations that didn't happen while she was here. These conversations are happening with my kids.
Oh my God. See, that is so great. I wrote a book, I don't know, 7 years, 8, I don't know, a long time ago. And the purpose of the book was to have my children have something, because I've lost people so young, I am very in tune with my mortality and I understand that this is finite.
Yeah.
We are not here, and a lot of people, and that's brought me some live in the moment stuff, which is fantastic, and also a lot of fear. I mean, that's the truth.
I can't say that I've come from a place of fear. I really do come from a place of intention. And I think I want to be intentional in my conversations with them. And I have been, to the point that sometimes when something will happen, I'll say to Olivia and Justin, but I've said a lot to Olivia recently, make sure my grandkids know this.
Right. That's
and she goes,
good.
you make sure your grandkids know that. And I was like, no, if I tell them, it's going to be bragging.
Well, what have you done? I want to hear this because I made a lot of mistakes. Like when my kids were little, I didn't know what was happening really because nobody tells you what to do.
Right. There's no book with parenting.
And I would suddenly my father would pop up and I'd be screaming at them and it was his voice. It wasn't my voice. I'm always curious as to what bumps in the road happened for you as a parent that then you were able to go to sort of learn from. Like, because we all have this blueprint that we come from. We all have this, like, what we saw as youngsters. Now, I know you just said you felt like you didn't really come from either one, really. So I don't know.
I can tell you this, going back to the newsletter that I wrote on Where Would the Guy in the Blue Box Take Me on the timeline.
Right.
So I don't know, I was probably about 7. Our big family vacation, mom, dad, and me, was going to Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, And that was our every year trip.
You did it too.
So you know
that. I know that
it.
smell.
You know the smell,
instinctually.
the street lamps,
Yep,
the kisses.
yeah.
Okay. But my dad would go on a bender and he would basically drop us off at the Hershey Park Motor Lodge and then disappear for days. So my holiday vacation really was the Hershey Park Motor Lodge pool, which was great. I had a great time. You know, I could look back at that and go, but I remember the fear that my mom had. And I remember the fear that I had, which was, how am I getting home?
Yeah.
You know, and I remember saying to my mom, hey, I know Uncle Joey's got a house in the Poconos. Can we like call him? Can he come get us? You know, and she'd be like, no. Well, I'm like, well, why not? Because my mom's family, they were like safe to me. You know, that was like home base and safe. So if I can get to one of them, I would feel like I was going to be safe. And my mom was embarrassed by the fact that we were being like, you know, left. And I remember very, very clearly, she now was showing me fear this one day. And we were leaving the pool, we're going back to the room. And she said to me, I'm really, really sorry. And she was like, almost tearful. And I was like, fuck him. And she got startled. She got like completely startled because I had never cursed before. I'd never said anything like that. And she got like angry and then she started to laugh and then it kind of like broke the energy. And I remember her getting up and saying, come on. And she turned around and walked away from me. But in that moment, I was probably the most scared I ever was because I had kind of like dug deep to say that to try to make it okay for her. But I was scared shitless. Like I didn't know how we were getting home. I wasn't sure if we had money. Like it was very, very an unsafe feeling for me. Then in 2013, I was doing an event at Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. And I said to my aunt and my cousin who were with me, I had Olivia with me, and I was like, I need to find the Hershey Park Motor Lodge. I need to go back. I need to see it. And clearly it was so much smaller than I remembered it. You know, I remembered it so much bigger in my head, perspective-wise. And then something happened, and I needed to leave to go take a phone call. It was a business thing. And I had to leave. So I left Olivia in the park, and I went back to the hotel, and it was a really bad business call. It was not a positive or productive call. And I was angry when I got done. And when I hung up the phone, which was not like this, it was probably like this. But when I hung up the phone, I had this immense realization that I just duplicated the exact same thing to my daughter.
Right.
I
left my daughter.
You dropped her off there.
I left her in the park. And it was in that moment that I realized where I would go. I would get in the TARDIS and ask the man to take me back to that little boy that just said, fuck him, to his mom and let him know it's going to be okay.
Right.
Make him know. And I think that became a metaphor for me that in my work, I need my clients to know there's some place on your timeline that you need to go back to and let that version of yourself know it's going to be okay.
That's why I'm sad.
Is that why you're sad? Because you need to go back talk to that guy?
No, that's what I feel. That's what I hear, you know, in all of this. Because I think in all of the pursuit of those things that are from people saying, I want to talk to this person, I think underneath that is there's a sense of them needing to tell themselves.
To complete something.
You know what I mean?
Right.
To clean up a relationship with somebody is, yes, it's about that relationship, but it's also, I think it always goes deeper than that. It's always something underneath that need that is really just about what they need. You know, and I think that's the sadness
it's
of it.
interesting for you in particular because...
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it about me.
No. It's okay. But I know you had dropped, you never quite had the connection with your parents that you kind of wished you'd had.
Well, you'll understand this is that when I have friends that lose a parent and are in deep grief and mourning, I can share it openly now with people I'm close to, but I have envy because I never had that. Do you know what I mean?
So you would mourn the loss of what could be.
Yeah, I think I was like, oh, I wish I had that depth to feel that deeply.
But I don't know you, but I can
Right.
guarantee you, not from a psychic standpoint, what you didn't get, you give now.
I believe that. Oh,
that's
I believe that.
absolutely true.
Right. And
so
I think
by
I have
doing
to.
that, yeah, but by doing that, you're healing yourself.
Yeah.
Like I remember when my son was really, really young, I kept saying to him, like, you know, I love you. And then he's like, Daddy, why do you tell me you love me so much? And I was like, how honest do you want me to be? He's like, why don't you be honest? I was like, because I never heard it. And he was like, what? I was like, I knew my mom loved me.
Right.
That was obvious. She never said it.
Yeah.
And my dad never said it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I never.
Same.
I gave it.
Nobody in my family ever said it until I got sober and I realized that's not normal. And I remember saying it to my parents the first time, and it was like I kicked open a door, and suddenly everybody in my family felt the freedom and the safety to tell them they loved each other, which prior to that, nobody could.
And with grief, people need permission to be able to say certain things as well. So if you're dealing with like a parent who's lost a child,
right,
you need to say to them, it's okay to say your child's name, because that's all they want to hear. They want people to remember that that person exists, right? So we need to keep that same philosophy when it comes to who we were, right? On the timeline of who we are.
Right.
Like, so this is probably important for you to hear as well. I was doing an event and there was a woman in the back of the room. Her mom came through and the mom gave her a message that rocked me like hard. And I had to like say it. And the message was, basically tell my daughter, it comes through in energy and symbolism, not like words like I'm going to say it. So it's my interpretation. I like to be clear. Tell my daughter I'm not her past. I'm her future.
Mm.
And the reason why it hit me is I'm linear in my thinking, right? Organized. If you said, where's my mom? If this was the timeline in front of me, I would have went all the way back here to 1989. And I should know better from a mediumship standpoint. Like I know that they're still with us. I know that they exist. I know that where there's love, there's connection. But the human earthly side of me would have dropped her off on my timeline in 1989 because that's where she was. When in reality, she's at the finish line waiting for me with a sign that says, welcome home. And that's where they all are.
Is that true?
Yes, that's really true. And your pets.
That makes me feel really good to
your
hear
pets.
that from you.
And your pets.
And your pets?
And your pets.
Oh, wow. Django.
Mm.
Okay. Because I often wonder about it. You know, I lost a child. I had a stillborn child before I had the two that did come through, and her name was Ruby. And I often think about her, like, you know, I mean, it's just like you said, like if she'd come through, the trajectory of my life would be completely different. I wouldn't have the two I have. Completely different. So there was purpose in it. And I do believe that she kind of came in and out. She did what she was supposed to do and left. And, you know, when you say things like that, I have lost so many people that I deeply love and would it's a big relief to me to hear you say that.
I promise you.
That I'll
like
see them.
Like I know this. Like it's not like I hope it, I know 40 years of doing this. And I know this from also working at the hospital. When I was doing phlebotomy at the hospital, there were certain patients that when I would walk up to the bed, I would feel like, now again, I'm good with boundaries. And when I'm working in the hospital, like I'm energetically protected because I don't want to feel anything from anybody sick.
I bet.
Right? But there would be these moments that would supersede that where I would feel energy standing around the head of the patient's bed. And in every one of those cases, that patient passed. And then I realized what it was. It was their family coming for them. And anybody that looks at hospice nurses, palliative care, there's so many deathbed visits that people get, you know, that visitations from people that they'll talk about that have gone on before them. So
and you think that's real?
I know it's real.
You know it's real.
I know it's real. I remember I walked into a patient's room and I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the tube. So you're not supposed to pre-label your tubes, but I was really fast. So I used to pre-label all my tubes. So I was making sure that I had the right patient. So I was kind of like a little distracted. I knew I was walking in. There was a little kerfuffle going on to the right. And it was a nursing home patient that had just come in, and she was angry and she was irritable. And she was saying stuff like, I walked in and I saw a police officer in the room, and then he was like gone. I was like, oh, that was weird. And then now my ears perk up and I hear her saying, why are you treating me like a criminal? Why are you treating me like a prisoner? Where do you think I'm going to run to? You know, you're putting a police officer here like I'm some type of criminal. And I'm like, wait a minute, this lady just saw what I just saw. So the nurse kind of turns away, like looks at me like, good luck with this one. Like, you know, because I got to stick with a needle now. And I waited till the nurse walked out and I looked at her. I said, the police officer's not with you. The police officer's with the patient next to you. And she's like, oh, well, why did the nurse tell me that? I want to be like, she can't see him.
I love
That's
that.
wild.
Wow.
So wild.
I know you talked about Italy, but anything Japan connected?
No, I want to go.
Did you have a conversation with like one of your kids about Japan?
Just yesterday with Miles at Sarah and Miles's house. And yes, we talked about going to Japan.
I'm supposed to tell you I was with you when you guys were having the conversation about that. And then I don't think it's on you now, but there's like an old bracelet that either came from mom or it came from a grandmother that has a bad clasp or something that wasn't broken or something was broken.
It's an old watch.
And I feel like it's like in a drawer as a keepsake.
It's upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my mom's. And I have it and I've never gotten it fixed. Yes, that's there.
And then is Sam your uncle?
Sam is my grandfather.
Okay, because they said they have Sam with them.
Sam's with who? Sam.
With them.
Them,
Past.
The past. Oh yeah, Sam would be, yeah, Sam died a long time ago.
And is Sam your mom's dad?
No, Dad's dad.
So your mom's the one who just told me that. So your mom's the one letting me know like, and Sam's here.
Oh, okay.
And then somebody apparently made shoes.
In my family?
There's talking about the shoe, how they made the shoes and put the bottom of the shoes on.
I don't know what Sam might have done. I don't know what Sam did. I know he was my step grandfather. My biological grandfather was a house painter, and a cantor. But my step grandfather, Sam, I don't know what he did for a living.
Sutter or is German for shoemaker. So at some point in my lineage, there had to be dudes making shoes.
Yeah.
And then apparently where you grew up, there was a fire.
Where I grew up, Mandeville Canyon.
Somebody had a fire in their house. They had to like leave the house because of the fire. Like they lived someplace else because of a fire.
Well, that could be us. I mean, we've had to move. We've had to go someplace else because of fire.
I don't think it's you guys. I think this is more not a neighborhood kind of a fire. It's more of like a person's house had an issue and they had to leave.
I don't know.
Where Lynn is connected?
Lynn,
Lindsay, Linda.
Lynn, Lindsay, Linda.
Think in the circle of who they're connected to. Growing up.
Lynn, Lindsay, Linda.
A name like that. Len, Lena. Like there's an LN name.
Well, there's a Liz. Liz is my sister, but that's the Elizabeth.
I don't think it's that. I feel like it's going back when you were a kid. Like when you were a kid, they're talking about stuff that would be around that period of time.
A fire.
And did you have like a not nice grandmother?
Well, my mom's mom was pretty tough.
Because I don't feel like my grandmother is like just.
No, Rose was that way. That was Dad's grandmother.
She was.
No, my southern grandma was
tough.
Well, tough in that kind of like, take charge kind of way. Yeah.
So did you base Gemma on her?
Did I what?
Did you base your character Gemma on her?
No. She's kind of based on Hillary Clinton just a little bit. I mean, she's based on a bunch of women, but no, my grandmother would come when my mother would have to go away.
Gotcha.
And grandma would come, and I actually.
She's the one that taught you how to.
She taught me how to run a house. I mean, for sure. But it was like this way, make the beds the right way.
Where was the place with the chickens?
The chickens?
Yeah. Where they took you out back and you saw the chicken house, the chicken coop?
She lived on a farm in Ohio, but I don't remember any chickens. I don't remember.
I'm looking
chickens.
at like chicken coops.
Oh, wow.
Going to get eggs.
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember
Which
that.
Who had the farm? Your grandma?
Well, my grandmother my grandparents divorced and then got back together like 50 years later. I mean, it was crazy. So when I was a kid, I would go to Illinois to stay with them, and they lived in farm country. But I don't remember the day-to-day of being with them at their house. I don't even remember what their house looked like.
Are you the oldest?
Yeah. I'm the oldest of 5.
Oh, so you're the one of 5.
I'm one of 5.
And are your 5 out of your 5 or 3 similar and 2 different? So normally it's like sex, age, or something significant.
Well, there's twins.
Oh,
the little ones are twins.
So 2.
Yeah,
so those are
that's
the 2.
2. And then there's the 3 of us. Absolutely. It was almost like 2 different groupings of 2 different families. The 2 were kind of like an afterthought.
Hey, can I say anything?
Yes, please.
Okay. Was there like getting out of a lawsuit?
Well, we sued the helicopter company that my dad.
Did you get out of the lawsuit?
We won it. Is that getting out of?
No.
Oh.
I almost feel like you're getting out of a lawsuit or getting out of something illegal.
In the past or in the present?
Maybe like now.
Now? Are we getting out of a lawsuit? Am I getting out of a lawsuit? And nobody's suing me. Were you in a lawsuit? No.
I think so.
I feel like I'm getting extricated from something legal. I'm getting out of something legal. Getting out of a contract, getting out of a lawsuit. I'm getting out
I'm hoping to get into a contract. No, I don't think I'm getting out of. Am I? Are we? Well, I don't know if this matters, but I just got this major fraud bullshit on my credit cards to the point where somebody was charged like $500,000 and I had to go file a police report. We got all the money back,
that
but it was like,
getting out of the legal thing.
yeah, and it's been kind of still going on. Like
I
the
feel like
police
we-
can't find the guy.
I feel like we're going to get out of that.
Okay, good. Because yeah, the guy keeps like making new credit cards.
Yeah,
And
they
who's
can't-
who's the hard G name, like Golda or Gilda or Gus?
We have our business manager.
Oh, Gellin is our business manager.
Gellin
Gellin.
as a first name?
Steve Gellin.
No.
Last name. Oh, so a G first name? G first name. G first name. I can't think of anybody. Current?
Did anybody for you, Patrick, pass in a vehicle accident?
In a vehicle accident? Not that I can think of. No, not.
And nobody was like an organ recipient or organ donor? It's a problem when I open up. It's like, I'm like a 2-year-old trying to pee in the bowl. It's like,
Well, I was going to say, I just saw something on my phone about the influencer who just recently, a couple days ago, came back public after her 3-year-old drowned in a pool.
that
That was seconds ago, but that was for her.
Oh, not on my family, but my wife's uncle passed away by 19 in a car accident.
is that your wife's family?
Yeah.
And then, can I say anything to you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Is there a baby that you're contemplating, or is there like, are you contemplating daddy stuff now?
Yeah, just had a baby 1 month ago.
Okay. Because they're saying congratulations on the baby.
Oh, wow.
But I kind of feel like one of the people in your family that did not get a chance to be a participant in this is kind of like watching.
Oh, wow.
So maybe if your wife's family, if it's her, like if she lost somebody that she would want to be a part of the baby.
Yeah, her grandmother passed.
Is the middle name of the child after someone?
Yes. Yeah, after my grandfather.
So if that grandpa's passed
Yeah.
and you honored him by the middle name,
Mm-hmm.
do you know you're moving or no?
We just moved.
Oh, you did?
We moved like 5 months ago.
Okay. Because I see the move.
I really hope we're not moving here. That was a bit fair.
Patrick, was there an issue with his breathing? Was there like a problem with him initially breathing wise? Were they concerned?
Yeah, he came out, the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, and he had to go to the NICU. He, for 4 minutes wasn't breathing properly.
Wow.
Because I feel like I'm supposed to say like they were on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was.
And there's a dog with you. There's a dog with them. So the dog what is the golden retriever or whatever this dog is. It's a big beige dog. I want to call it Sandy from Annie. Like that's kind of like the way it looks. It looks like it's got that kind of look.
Scruffy.
Yeah, it's got a scruffy look.
Chocolate.
Definitely not chocolate.
Definitely.
Definitely not chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay.
Beige. Like a beigey looking, sandy looking colored dog. Did your wife teach?
No.
What's the educator?
Her older sister is a 3rd grade teacher.
And then what's the May connection for you?
May.
The month of.
May.
Is that when he was born?
He was born June 5th.
Oh, so it's the 5th. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's not the 5th month. It's the 5th of the month.
Yeah, June 5th.
Okay. Because they're showing me 5, and that to me is the 5th month.
Right on his due date. Yeah.
Well, that's his birthday too, May 5. I don't know if Kurt's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, that means you're in a 1 year. That means you're in a year of new beginnings. From May of this year to May of next year. New beginnings and fresh starts.
Is that what that means?
Yep. And that means last year was a year of endings. Last year was a year of releasing and letting go.
Absolutely.
That was 100% true. Yeah.
And is that astrological?
That's numerological. Yeah, it's a personal year.
Wow.
Pie time?
High
Pie
time.
time, please. Yeah. Let's have some pie.
So why this pie?
Okay, so I'm not really a pie guy by dessert. I'm much more of a chocolate chip kind of guy. So I was like, if I was going to have a pie, this would be the pie that I would eat because it's an amalgamation of the chocolate chip and the brownie and the cream and all the good stuff.
Nice.
Now, is there anything connected to those treats? Like, was that a
Childhood thing?
childhood thing, or Like in terms of
It's just a life thing.
No,
just a
Italians
life
eat
thing.
everything.
Yeah, like I love chocolate chip cookies and I love chocolate, and before I work, I don't eat. So when I'm gonna like do events or readings, I make sure that I don't eat, and then right before I'll have chocolate or a chocolate chip because that just works.
Wow.
Yep.
So you
Yeah,
just
I
get
eat a
that-
lot of chocolate at work
You
too.
just get that hit. Yeah. Oh, that's good. It's like an
That's-
athlete. That's what an athlete, you know.
They eat chocolate
Well, they'll fire up, you know,
with
they'll-
something.
Yeah. They'll fire up the, you know, the sugars and the fats.
First of all, let's introduce Olivia, who is John brought his daughter Olivia. What's your podcast called?
It's called the Astrology Plus podcast.
She has a podcast too. And come to find out, Olivia is an astrologer. And
Let's talk about the connection acting wise too.
oh
which
yes,
was so
and
crazy.
Olivia is an actress that was on Better Things. She played Pam Adlon's youngest daughter, Duke. And, you know, we were talking about, because Pammy and I, who was also on this podcast, we go back since she was 15 years old. So that was kind of a wild connection. And before we started today, Olivia was telling us about our charts, and I can't wait to go talk to you. I love all
Anytime.
that stuff.
Anytime.
Great.
But so this is the time
When you get to promote,
John, when
I
you
know
get
you
to-
have a new something.
I do. I have a new book out. It's called Chasing Evil.
Chasing Evil?
Chasing Evil. Yeah, it is the reveal that I assisted an FBI agent on his cases for the last 25 years and didn't tell anybody.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like you were helping solve crimes?
I was helping him solve crimes. So I always tell people I didn't solve anything. His name's Bob. So I say I worked for not the FBI, but I worked for the BOB, another 3-letter organization.
Wow.
So Bob called me. Bob came to me to expose me as a con or a fraud because he heard me on the radio and didn't like it. So that was how he came to me, which, you know, props to him. I get it. I did it with Lydia. He came to me. So I no disrespect to him. But I wound up reading for him and giving him insights on the case that he came with. And then it just became a 3-decade relationship. Like,
Oh my God.
so he left, you know, I said to him, I'll help you to keep my name out of it. And he said, no problem. I want to keep my job. Worked out really well for the two of us. And then he retired and he's like, I think I want to tell these stories. I was like, great.
So you guys wrote the book together.
We did.
And what's his last name?
Hilland, Bob Hilland,
Bob
Robert Hilland.
Robert Hilland. All right. Wow. So, wow, I can't wait to read the book.
Are there any major cases?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's big stuff in the book.
So you did one reading for him and then he was in? Or did you have to prove yourself a
No,
bunch of
I
times?
think that one reading kind of got his attention.
I gotcha.
Just, he set me up. You see in the book, he sets me up to control items that he brought that had nothing to do with his case, and I wound up helping him with that case. And then I wound up reading for him and giving him information about his family that he didn't know. So that kind of solidified and validated for him the reality of what I was doing. And then he basically looked at this as an opportunity, like, can you help me? How does this work?
This sounds like a TV show.
That's what everybody says, actually.
As you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see that. Wow. But it's true. And let's look at
It's
you.
true.
You didn't tell anybody.
Nope. And you know, it's really funny. I think the thing that people are finding impressive, like one of the producers of Crossing Over called me up after she read the book and she's like, dude, this was going on at the same time you were doing the show. And I was like, yeah. She's like, you were getting your ass handed to you on a platter, like in the paper and in the press. And she goes, and you don't whip this out. And I went, nope, we got an arrangement. And I kept it
Oh.
quiet.
Good on you. That's super admirable to me. I mean,
And really just an upside for him
yeah, totally.
as well.
You know,
as
there's
service.
a transformational aspect of my relationship with him.
Yeah.
And that,
What do you mean by that?
well, my dad was a New York City police officer.
Oh,
Like,
right.
So I guess I got a chance to work out some of my dad issues there
Absolutely.
and didn't realize I was doing it all those years until I sat down to write the book with him. I was like, oh, I was working on some daddy issues.
Let's ask Olivia a question about how it was growing up with a dad who's a medium.
Well,
What is that like?
And feel no pressure.
Yeah.
No. Honestly, I mean, it is kind of based.
It's all the time we have.
No, honestly, it is kind of like a second language. Like what he said about, I grew up in a Portuguese household, so I spoke Portuguese. My brother and I spoke Portuguese to my grandparents, sometimes with my mom. And at home, it was energy. There was no, like, death was not a taboo topic at all. So there were always constant conversations, and it also wasn't something that was like, oh my God, like she saw so and so, or I think my grandmother came through. It was never treated like a spectacle. It was always sort of like, okay, interesting. What else do you see? Like, what else are you picking up on? What else is happening? So it was never sort of something that was ever like dramatic or a look at this. It was just normal. So normal.
You know, I grew up in a show business family and have the exact same experience. Like people would think it was all glamour and blah, blah. Dad was a director. You know, Leonard Nimoy would come over. Norman Lear was around. It was just business as usual. It was so it's almost like family business. It's just family business.
How old is your brother?
He's 23.
So he's your older brother. At any point, did the two of you just go, this is a crazy fucking household?
No, but you know what? Sometimes, because this is just like the casual dad lore that'll get dropped, where it's like, oh yeah, that just like working with a FBI agent, or like some of the stories we'll hear, and he'll talk about it to my brother, and we're like, oh, that's cool, and then we'll walk out, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, what? Since when? What do you mean? Like, just casually, like, oh yeah, that was like like decades ago, before you guys were born. I'm like, oh, just casually, oh yeah,
Solved it.
fond memories, just of a murder. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Wow.
Just casually.
Yes. Well, I'm good. I'm glad you had that reaction.
Yeah,
because
it's fun.
you know, I mean, it's a pretty fantastic world to have normalized.
Yeah.
And it's also dispels the arrogance of the human form that we know fucking everything, you know, which is like completely insane to me. So it's awesome to grow up with that open mind.
Yeah.
Of that.
Now, is that book out now?
Yeah, it's out.
Oh,
Oh, what's it
fantastic.
called?
Chasing Evil.
Chasing Evil.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, it's so wild. And, you know, because Kate is very much plugged into the mystic community. And she believes.
The mystic.
And I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But you know
I'm
what
trying
I'm
to
saying.
talk to him about it sometimes.
And,
He's like,
and I never disbelieved. I just felt the intention of, I never understood, which is not what you do. I never understood people who would go to psychics and say, am I going to get that job? Is this going to happen to me? Is he the right guy? Because I always felt like,
So you would love the way I read, because I stopped those questions from happening.
yeah,
When I would read for my mom, there was one moment where I was doing a card reading for her, and I said, do you have any questions? Is at the end of the session. And she goes, yes. Am I going to be happy? And I literally was like, okay, we're done here. And and she looked at me and she said, are you going to do that with your clients? I said, if they ask me silly questions, and yes, I am. I was like, don't ask me questions that you are the person who's in control of.
Right.
You are the person who's in control of your happiness.
that's my biggest
You want to be
issue.
happy? Then you figure out how. Ask me how you can be happy.
Exactly.
Not, am I going to be happy? Don't surrender your choices.
so people don't say to you, am I gonna get this job that I'm waiting
They might,
on?
but clearly you don't
Or maybe
answer.
they
No, what I'll do is I'll do a session for them without any questions. And then at the end of that, I'll say, do you have any questions? And then if there's something that wasn't addressed about something, if they frame it in a way where it's not me telling them what to do, because I don't want the karmic responsibility of your choice. I want to make sure that I'm giving you insights and information. Same thing with Bob. I didn't solve anything. I gave him insights and information. He went off and used it and solved stuff.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Right.
So I do the same thing. Insights and information. You as a client go off and you do you.
Right.
I don't want the responsibility of like, oh, John Edwards said to do this.
Mhm.
I gotcha.
So I'm very clear on how I deliver information.
I think that for me was,
Well, that's a lot of yes.
you know, because I just felt, I also think it creates the dynamic where you have a lot of people who perhaps have the insight and have the intuit and then use it to, you know, perhaps not honorable ends.
They're
You know?
scammers.
Oh my
for
God.
sure.
Go on
and-
TikTok.
Yeah.
Legitimately, if you go on social media, there's like 50,000 people that are doing readings that I have to block constantly because it makes me angry.
Oh wow.
Because
And-
there's an ethic and responsibility that should come into this.
And that's what I hear. Like, even, I got to tell you, like, we have friends who are very much, who are tarot readers. And I always refer to it as woo-woo. Oh, you know, she's your woo-woo friend. And just to hear you talk about it as a device in which you use to connect.
Yeah,
Right?
it's an instrument. It's an instrument to help teach.
Yeah. Like that
It's about
to
the
me
archetype of the human condition.
takes the,
The mystical, but
but not that it's
It's
not
grounded.
still mystic. It grounds
It's grounded.
It grounds
Yes.
it into, and me being, you know, perhaps more stoic
earthbound.
than that serves me. perhaps being too more earth than I should be. Because I study the Stoics and I believe, and the Stoics combine that pragmatism with a sense of spiritual growth and service. But to hear you speak of it, it feels to me, and not that this is your intent, but it feels to me very sobering, right? It feels very of service, and yes, it's what I do. I'm compensated for my work, but there's also a sense of I have a responsibility in the practice of
100%.
this.
Well, I think what he's saying too, which is interesting when you answered the question of what people think of you when you walk in a room, it's definitely who the person is that's coming to you, what their expectation is. If somebody's coming to you because are they dating the wrong person? Am I going to marry this guy? They're looking out of sort of, I don't know, some kind of desperation, or I don't know, they're bringing something else to it. Wow, this looks amazing.
It's so good. I had to wait till you guys ate before I went in for seconds, but no, I find that really fascinating. Let me ask you. You clearly, we talked about this. Your business is word of mouth, and now are you just like booked constantly?
I'm literally booked until June of next year.
Oh my God, I want an appointment.
Now is that like with group readings, or is that
Yeah.
everything?
How does that
That's
work?
like everything.
Right.
I'm legitimately, like literally booked until June of next year.
Like, do you have an office? Like, people come to see you, or do you read over the Zoom? Got it. I went to a psychic medium years ago. I can't think of her name now. She was down in San Diego and charged like an arm and a leg. And I did not vibe with it. It was kind of like there was so much hype about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it was so hard to get in and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know. I didn't believe it.
What now is this? I know you're obviously you're an actress, and but is this are you leaning towards doing what your dad does, or is it something? No, and I don't mean to be like
Dad wants to know.
if because there's we have kids that, like, our youngest, who is your age, is like a science nerd, right? And she loves what we do, and her brothers and sisters are not, and it's not out of like, I refuse to be like everyone else. It's just not her swing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a whole platform. It's called evolveplusTV.com. It's where, if anybody loves this subject matter, this is the place you want to be. Olivia hosts the podcast Astrology Plus on the platform.
Right.
I have been trying now for 2 years.
Yeah.
I just got her to agree to go live and answer people's questions about their chart.
Wow.
Kicking and screaming. But I got it. I got it.
Now,
Why? Because you want to
kicking
be
and
an
screaming?
actor,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
don't want to.
yeah,
You don't want to cross over worlds.
It's not even that, like this.
No pun intended.
I mean,
It
you know
is.
what I mean.
That's no, it was good. No,
so
it was
didn't
good.
mean that.
No, it's kind of the same metaphor as I love baking.
Right.
I don't think I would want to open up a bakery. However, I do have the ability, but more importantly for astrology, I've been studying it formally for like 3.5 years. I know I have the ability to look at someone's natal chart and, do a reading. I do it for friends and family.
Because you're using more than the chart.
Yeah, exactly.
You're using more than the chart.
Yeah, the chart is like my tarot card.
Because I sometimes would have moments with some of the people that mentored me and taught me astrology, where they'd say, okay, and like tell me what are you picking up on? What do you see in the chart? And I'd say, okay, just for example, oh, there could be a tendency for this, or there could be a tendency for this. They'd say, right, and you're seeing that, and I'd say, right over here in this chart, and they'd interrupt me and go like, on the top corner here. I'm like, yeah, on the top corner there. Like, I wasn't looking at that. It's like, so then where were you getting that from? It's there, but where are you getting it from? I'm like, I don't know, it just sort of made sense. So it's kind of like,
Oh, so it's
it's
her key to unlock the energy.
got it.
sort of like a
The
blueprint.
chart is. I see. Wow. So maybe passed on. Yes. That's a great thing to have as an actor.
Yeah.
It is.
Same as me writing a novel.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you're writing a novel?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Wow.
A big bookworm. Big bookworm.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Big time.
What's the favorite book you read recently?
Favorite book I read recently?
Better be Chasing Evil.
I was gonna say I didn't know what I have to say. No, I
Just saying.
and I used the audiobook for that because I was like, well, I obviously want it because it's you and Bob, and I was like, I want to hear it in your voice.
Oh, that's
And that's cool. And I usually don't do audiobooks because I like annotating in the. I'll make an exception because I like writing in between the margins and just I think that's fun. My favorite book I've ever read is Dracula, which I was not expecting because
they read the Bram Stoker.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, favorite of all time. And I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did because I knew it fell into like the horror genre, like obviously classic. How do you make a book boo? Like on the next page in italics. So I was like, oh my God. But it was just like the detail and how they described all the imagery and like the suspense.
There was no horror genre when that was written.
Right.
Yeah. It was the suspense that got me.
Wow. So wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to ask an astrology question.
Ask anything. Ask away.
So what's your sun sign?
Aquarius.
Oh, those are your Aquarius. And where's your moon?
Taurus moon.
Taurus moon. So just tell me, like, quickly, like, and so that he knows too,
Yeah.
like, what the difference between the sun, the moon, and the rising sign? Like, what are those characteristics?
So the rising sign is how you come across to people, sort of initially. First vibe you kind of give off and how people sort of receive you. Some people say that you come off more as your rising sign when you're younger and you mature into your sun sign, which is sort of your core identity. Some people would call it like the ego. It's sort of at the core of who you mature into and the lessons that you're learning. Whereas the moon is more like the soul. It's the part of you that you may not understand for most of your life because it's the most intimate part of you. There's an astrologer that once said, the sun is who you are when the lights are on, the moon is who you are when the lights are off. So it's cool to look at like the relationship between those three things. But
Right.
It's one of the cool things about astrology because you can have someone that has the same, they call it like the big three as you, like the moon, same moon, sun, rising, and yet so many things are still different because the natal chart is telling you how they interact with each other and how they do all those things. Some of the best astrologers that I've ever learned from made it, sort of put it into like show terms, like acting terms, because they'd say each planet in the chart is a show or a movie, whatever you want to call it, a story. And each house is where things are taking place, and each planet is a role or a character. Some characters will naturally get along because they agree on specific core values that each of the characters have. Others will not, but because it's an interesting story, they all have to.
Right.
And that's what a natal chart is.
So since we're both a Gemini ascendant,
Yeah.
how do we present?
But we're just like overall awesome, I guess. I don't know. No,
I agree. I would.
We're just like super likable, charismatic. No, but they're very social, very talkative, very chatty.
Really great. All right. We are going to continue a conversation when I come on your podcast or you come on ours.
Anytime, absolutely.
That's what we should do.
Absolutely.
But this was fantastic. I'd like you to
Amazing.
be our friend.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I think that's
Yes.
I'm formally inviting you to the Mystical Club.
Yeah.
To the where?
This is his invite to the Mystical Society. The Mystical Club, the Woo Club.
Oh, yeah,
People-
you're in the Woo Woo Club.
Now you're in.
Okay, I'm in.
You're on the grounded side, though.
Yeah.
Well, he's only going to listen to a few people, though. You know, he's very selective. So he'll,
Yeah. No,
you know,
you are the you've opened the door.
you're the introduction for him
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm happy. That makes me feel good.
That is, I was very moved and was not expecting to be. Not that I was skeptical, or not that I had I didn't come in. I came into this very open-minded, but I don't know. I was moved by a lot of your experiences. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
John
Thank you,
Edwards,
Olivia.
for being with us, and Olivia. Thank you
This
so
was
much.
fantastic.